Okay, so today I'm going to attempt to repair my windshield washer squirter, and I don't know, about 6 months ago or so, this thing, I was wiping my hood off on underneath, and the back of my hand just brushed across the bottom part of this nozzle and it immediately snapped off. So the plastic was brittle and I just haven't addressed it, so finally gonna work on it today. And yeah, anyway, looks fairly straightforward. The only question is the tubing. Do I have the right tubing diameter? I ordered some from online, and I hope I'm able to patch this thing back up. So when that nozzle broke some months ago, the top part of the nozzle stayed in, which is good. So there's just not an open hole in my hood, but it's this nozzle right here. And there are some spring-loaded plastic catches on the bottom of the hood that are up in that hole. I'm going to have to reach up in there with my fingers or use a needle nose pliers to release this thing so I can take it out of the hood. Okay, so I'm looking up here into the hole in the hood where the nozzle is affixed to the hood, and there looks to be two tabs there, top and bottom, that I need to depress either with my fingers. Probably gonna have to use needle nose pliers. It's pretty tight up in there, but then I will be able to pull the remainder of the nozzle out of the top of the hood. And for what it's worth, I just want to mention, when this nozzle did break a few months ago, I realized that when the hood is closed, the nozzle is going to be right down here around the engine computer and the connectors. So if I ever activated the windshield wiper washer while this hose was broken, then I was going to be squirting washing fluid on my engine computer and the connectors. So I went through shortly after it broke and I emptied my windshield washer reservoir right here. I used a 6-foot plastic hose as a siphon to drain that thing. So I filled it up with clean water, and after it was full of water, I held my thumb over the end that was going to be the drain part to keep the water from flowing out, and then I took the other end simultaneously while I was holding that other end closed with my thumb, and then I just put it down into the reservoir all the way. And then as I was keeping my thumb on the end of the pipe, I can't do it now because I've got a camera in my hand, but I put this other one down here on the concrete, and then the siphon action just pulled all of the fluid out of the tank. And I did, of course, have to kind of move this thing around to make sure during the draining process that it was down at the bottom. But yeah, I got all the fluid out of it. Okay, here I'm looking at the spare parts. I purchased the nozzles here on the left at Dodge Chrysler dealership. There's the part number. It's a pair in the bag there, and they're rather pricey. The hose I bought, it's a generic hose. I bought it online. There are no specifics on the label about any of the dimensions of the hose. All right, let's take a closer look at these parts. So I have the nozzles here, and there's two in the bag. Like I said, they're rather pricey, and you can also see the little captive tabs on the side there. And then here is the windshield washer hose that I got. It also came with some unions or fittings to put things together. A note about this windshield washer hose replacement kit. I only used a small piece of the hose, that straight piece seen in the center of that coil. It's about 4 inches long approximately. It used elsewhere in the video. I explain how I used it. And had I used this rubber hose to replace the semi-hard plastic hose in the car, I would have needed 2 of these straight through barbs here, but the kit only comes with 1 of these barbs. Had I used this hose to replace the hose in the car, I would have had to find another one, so maybe I would have gone to Ace Hardware, Home Depot, maybe online to try to find a replacement barb or an additional barb. Okay, so my plan is to use these channel lock pliers and to use them to depress the little tabs seen here, if that's possible to see them, and to push the nozzle up out through the top of the hood. You're not going to be able to see when I'm doing that because it's just too tight up in there. These channel lock pliers will be used to remove the nozzles, and a correction to what I said earlier, the nozzles are all hard plastics including the tabs, and the tabs are not spring loaded, so they will be destroyed upon removal. So here I am removing the driver's side nozzle. And I'm squeezing, and I'm also destroying the tabs to free the nozzle from the hood. This took a couple of attempts. So here the nozzles are removed, and the hole in the hood appears to be keyed so that the nozzle only goes in one orientation. Okay, so here's the top side view. I've removed the nozzle on the driver's side, and as you can be seen there, there's just a hole. And I'm gonna pry this end piece from the old nozzle out of that elbow, and I'm just gonna reuse that elbow. Alright, I wiped off the dirt on the top part of the hood and underneath as well, and yeah, so I'm going to attempt to get this on camera, but I'm going to put the nozzle in there and just press it into place. And of course I want to make sure that the nozzle is pointed toward the windshield and not toward the front of the car. Okay, it's in. Okay, I've got the new nozzle in here, and I realized that this hose is really too short, and that's probably, so it's putting stress on the in part of that nozzle. That's probably why it broke to begin with. I could take this out up here and put some more length on that so it'd be less stressful, but then I need to wire tie that thing in place or something. I think I'm going to try that. Here I'm using a trim panel tool to remove the nozzle barb that remained in the rubber elbow. I basically just pried it out. And the trim panel tool was perfect because it's got that notch which more or less exactly fits the barb diameter. I was able to finish pulling out the barb by hand. And here I'm inserting the rubber elbow onto the new nozzle. Okay, so here on this hard line, I took some of that rubber washer repair hose that I had. I slid it down the middle. The slit's on the back side. You can't see it. I put it here. I'm going to wire tie this thing up to that red little thing there, and just to keep it from falling down and getting crushed or whatever. So, yeah. Okay, I put 3 wire ties on that little protective rubber hose just to keep it from falling off there. I'm going to trim those excess wire tie tips off there. Okay, so I trimmed off the excess on those black wire ties, and I added the 2 yellow wire ties to pull that hose up a little bit to keep it from drooping down. But I still have enough relief so that this thing is not pulling on that nozzle like it was before from the factory. So I'll clip off these extra end pieces and I'll be done here. Alright, so I clipped off the excess end pieces on those yellow wire ties, and I'm finished with this, so it should be good to go. And the plier that I used for that was a flush cutter, so it doesn't leave any sharp edges on the tie wraps, which is nice about a flush cutter. Okay, I decided to go ahead and do this other nozzle as well. In other words, change it out, because the kit came with 2 nozzles, and both of these nozzles are 10 years old, so if that one was brittle over there on the driver's and it broke off, I think this one's probably not far behind. But I think what really was a contributing factor was the shortness of that factory hose, which was too short, which put extra stress on that nozzle end. But anyway, I'm going to change this nozzle, because if I don't, I'll never find the other one anyway. So I've got it in hand now. I'm just going to do it. Okay, I've got the other nozzle removed, and that went real straightforward. You can see the hole there up to the sky, and I am going to wipe off the dirt off the hood and then insert the other nozzle and put that T-fitting back on there, and then insert those 2 hard plastic pipes into the T-fitting, and I'll be done here. Alright, looking at the whole top side after I've wiped off the dirt, ready to put the nozzle in. The other one, of course, already in on the other side. Okay, I'm going to insert this other nozzle here and press it in. That's it, it's in. Of course, it's aiming toward the windshield like it's supposed to be. Okay, I put those semi-hard plastic lines back into the T-fittings. They just slip right in there, and there's like a little detent, so it's easy to tell when the thing's in place. Okay, so now I'm gonna fill up my reservoir here. See if I can do this on camera without spilling this stuff all over the place. Oh man. Whoa. Okay. Alright, it's 90% full. That's good enough. I'm going to test it and see if it works. Okay, I'm going to see if my windshield washer sprayers are working now. Turning my ignition key to the on position. And yeah, everything's working great. Both sides are working. So, perfect. I'm done here. If you found this video helpful or entertaining, please like, subscribe, and share. And I'll put parts links and tool links in the description. Thank you for watching.